There has always been a sense of wonder and awe when watching Dream's Manhunt videos, but I really want to know, why is he so good? What are the little things that we aren't noticing that seemingly make him better than everyone else? In this video, we will be deep diving into his combat, skill, strategy, and overall IQ. But before I start, there's this glitch on YouTube that will randomly unsubscribe you from your favorite YouTube channels, and apparently, over 2 million of you guys were unsubscribed. So please go resubscribe to the channel and fix this error. Now, back to the video. As I mentioned in the beginning of the video, we are going to be diving into the specifics and easily missed points that make Dream so good. Now, for a quick background, as someone who played football, I got used to watching hours upon hours of film of other teams, learning their plays, patterns, and tendencies. Doing this, I realized that there is so much more to how someone plays the game that goes unnoticed from a casual viewer. Using the same practice and applying it to Dream's manhunts, I was able to find so much information about Dream's abilities that I had never noticed before. In preparation, I watched every manhunt video from 3 hunters on, and after weeks of studying, here's what I came up with. The video will be broken up into 3 main categories: combat, skills, and IQ. Since I don't want the video to be super wordy where I never get to the point, the format will largely be a quick run through of many different events from the manhunts. I quickly want to mention that I will be skipping a lot. Strategies that I found to be obvious to everyone I probably won't be mentioning unless it pertains to a specific point. So things like MLG water, his traps, basic parkour, and other things will be skipped over, since I feel like they're common knowledge. Let's go. Let's start with combat. When fighting someone, Dream will generally try to get to the side of whichever opponent he is facing rather than fighting head on. His goal isn't just to avoid getting hit, but also to be able to get around the hunter's shield if they have one. What I found interesting was that whenever in a 1v1 situation, Dream would always go straight up to whoever he was fighting first. Once he was face to face, which side he went to would depend on where his opponent was facing. If they were facing to his right or left, he would go in the opposite direction. If they were straight on, he would always go to the right. You see, the shield only blocks in a 90-degree angle going out from where the player is facing. What this means is that the closer you get to them, the less distance you have to move around them to avoid being blocked by the shield. Another thing that Dream will do is to attack directionally. What I mean by this is that when he hits someone, he will often do so in an attempt to have them fly somewhere from the knockback. For example, when he knocks George into lava in the 3 Hunters finale rematch, you could see that he took the time to position himself so that the knockback has the best chance of sending George into the lava and not back onto the fortress path. Finally, when Dream has the opportunity to hit someone, he takes getting in the most hits he can over just having a possible chance of 1 or 2 crits. The best example is here, where he hits Sapnap 5 times, none of which are crits or even full powered swings for that matter. I wanted to test for myself to see if getting 5 spam hits would inflict more damage as compared to 2 full powered swings, which is what I believe he could have gotten off in that specific situation. With a diamond sword hitting full iron, 5 spam hits does 4.5 hearts and 2 full swings does 4 hearts, so Dream would have had to risk landing 3 full powered swings and manage not to miss a single hit. So even though spam clicking isn't the best option in a perfect scenario, it was here. When it comes to skills, the ability to pull them off largely relies on practice. The same way that a professional athlete puts hours upon hours into perfecting their craft, Dream pours that same effort into Minecraft. Years of practice and experience pays off. There's a bunch of skills Dream uses that I'd never noticed, and definitely could not pull off if I decided I was just going to go out and try them for myself. First off, Dream will shake his mouse mid-jump so that the distance he travels is shortened and so that he doesn't bump into a block on his next jump, allowing him to move a further distance in the same amount of time. Dream applies a similar tactic in the 3 Hunters Grand Finale video, where he's jumping off a tree, then stops sprinting mid-air so that he can land as near to the water's edge as possible, making the time it takes for him to get out of the water and back to sprint jumping that much quicker. Another strategy Dream uses that you may have noticed was that he will often place a block beneath him when he falls or is running. Most of the time he does this to reduce or eliminate fall damage, but he will also use a block as a pedestal to jump off of when going to build up along the side of a wall. The cool part about this isn't just that it saves him a second when climbing, but it has the added benefit where a hunter who is close behind will jump off the first block Dream has placed in an attempt to land a hit on Dream, but by that time Dream has already placed another block up, making it so that way the hunter hits the second block and falls, getting Dream an extra couple seconds to get away. A few tactics that I feel are worth mentioning but don't need an explanation are Dream's speed crafting, insane MLG blocking along walls, and just how smooth he is when he runs. On to the IQ portion. This is by far the biggest section, so big in fact that it is split up into 4 different subcategories: combat IQ, strategy and planning, awareness, and game mechanics. Combat IQ is different than the combat we talked about at the beginning of the video. We started off talking about the what and the how aspects of combat. In the IQ portion, we will be going over the when and why. While running away, oftentimes Dream will unexpectedly turn back onto the hunters. Doing so catches them off guard. Dream will land a few hits, then escape before the hunters can fully grasp what is going on, creating a larger distance between himself and the hunters. Another interesting time that I found Dream will attack is when he's low on health and supplies, but can catch the hunters slightly unaware. Doing this, he can dictate the tempo of the manhunt, which causes the hunters to temporarily forget that killing Dream is the #1 priority and shifting it to simply staying alive. Now Dream will often attempt to kill all the hunters at one time, but why? I mean, if we're being logical, jumping into 3 or 4v1 should only be a last resort or when having a large tactical advantage. The risk of dying in this situation is so high, but what makes it worth it is the payout. Being able to recoup, heal, and to gain resources and time is a huge benefit for Dream, and one that has often turned the tide of the manhunts to his favor. One last thing I want to mention combat-wise is the 2-block pillar he used when fighting bad at the beginning of the 4 Hunters finale video. It's unique because he hadn't used it before or since. The reason being was that in that moment, Dream, being out of sprint, was in a situation where he was forced to fight bad. With not having a shield, it was imperative that Dream was able to hit bad before bad could hit him, ensuring that Dream's axe would recharge before bad's, letting Dream get in the second hit first, killing bad. It's small intellectual risks like this that Dream takes that are key to his overall success. Now I quickly want to define what an intellectual risk is. An intellectual risk is an idea or plan that has potential to benefit Dream in the overall manhunt, meaning that they generally seem like random ideas that come out of nowhere. Other examples include wearing bad skin in the 3 Hunters finale rematch, creating another portal that he doesn't use, and spinning a boat in circles while Sapnap is in it to make him dizzy. Small ideas that seem to come out of nowhere but have the potential to give Dream a slight advantage. So Dream came out with a short on one of his 10 billion YouTube channels where it mocked manhunts and how he's perceived to think, doing a whole bunch of quick math as an arrow is shot at him. Funnily enough, Dream actually uses calculus when running away. If you didn't know, the speed of sprint jumping is approximately 7.143 blocks per second. Swimming through water, you move at 5.612 blocks per second, which is the same as normal sprinting. So when Dream is sprint jumping along the edge of a river, knowing he will have to eventually cross, he has to choose the most optimal point to cross at, and he does. This is called optimization. Obviously, Dream doesn't pause mid-game to do the calculus in order to figure out the exact point, because, depending on the familiarity to the environment, we all have the natural ability to know at which point to cross. The thing about this, though, is that the hunters, not knowing which direction Dream may randomly turn and run in, they will instinctually chase in a straight line after him. So even if Dream jumps into the water at the optimal point and the hunters see it, there is a high likelihood that they will jump off at a different point because the straight line to where Dream is at has changed. Switching gears, Dream's ability to set himself up for the future is pretty remarkable. He once attacked Bad right when he was at spawn simply because he heard Bad say he had food. Dream knew that if he could kill Bad and get the food, that it would give him an advantage later down the road. We see him playing for the future in the Hunters finale rematch when, at the beginning, after getting knocked away from the chest at the ruined portal, he goes back to get the flint and steel. A flint and steel is a relatively easy item to get, but one that is often overlooked, like in the 4 Hunters rematch when Dream didn't have iron or flint on him when he was ready to light the portal that he made. Something else that Dream will often do is front load iron mining. After the initial chase, the hunters will usually take a bit of a break to go mine for armor and weapons. Dream will do the same, but something that he does is often mine a bit more iron than he needs in order to have some left over, just in case. Now there are many times that Dream has mentioned hearing what one of the hunters says, or just mentions how he always tries to stay aware of what the hunters are doing, but he's gotten to the point where it's become more of an instinct than a thought out process. For starters, whenever the hunters are chasing close behind and Dream needs to tower up, he will do so looking back at them. It's a small point, but doing so keeps the hunters from gaining the element of surprise by running somewhere without him knowing. Dream also listens a lot. It's become comical how it seems like Dream will always target George, but it's largely George's fault for that. Now I didn't get a full count of the George deaths, but I found a video that shows all his deaths through the first 4 Hunters video. If you take the total of the 3 Hunters videos and the first 4 Hunters video, George died 23 times. That's essentially 4 deaths per manhunt. The thing is though, Dream does target George, because when George gets low on health, his instinctual reaction is to yell out that he's low on health.
Oh no, he turned on.
Oh, he does so much damage! Where is he? Where is he? Oh, he's over here.
I'm going up.
I'm going up. I need food.
No,
I need food.
Run, just run. I'll give you some. Run.
And knowing that he's low, Dream will target him, knowing that he's going to be the easiest one to kill, giving him the best chance to grab George's dropped items and get away with one less hunter in pursuit. Another example of Dream listening, and it's one of my favorites, is when one time Dream heard one of the hunters say that their strength pot ran out.
Guys, my strength is gone.
Oh my god!
Oh no, it is.
Oh my god, mine's gone too.
And immediately Dream turned around and attacked. There's nothing overtly crazy about the moment, but the aggressive and confident instinct to immediately take a 3v1 just because their strength enhancement is gone is pretty cool to me. Another perfect example of his awareness and quick thinking is in the 4 Hunters grand finale. There's a point where Dream is looking for a blaze spawner with the hunters chasing. He finds out where it should be, but it's broken. Takes a quick peek around in F5, whines about there not being any blaze, then suddenly turns and attacks George, killing him and getting his blaze rods. The impressive part isn't that he just very quickly disposed of George, but that he had to remember that George had gotten blaze rods from earlier, then jump down, pick everything up once George died, get attacked, all while keeping track of his damage to know when he had to run. The final section of IQ is the one that Dream himself claims to be his strongest suit, knowing the game mechanics. This is where Dream gets a lot of little advantages that all add up. For starters, you'll often see him at the beginning of Manhunt's craft or try to loot chests or get blocks while taking punches from the hunters. He will ignore the punches, stay calm and finish what he's doing because he knows how much damage he could and or should take. When it came to escaping by mining through walls, I noticed that there was a lot more going into it than just mining and placing blocks behind you, like knowing when to mine horizontally or vertically. Each has its own advantage. If Dream is being chased horizontally, he'll do so when the block he's mining can be placed back unnoticed, for example endstone or netherrack. He will often mine horizontally so that way he can change directions and they might mine right by him, not realizing that he's shifted to the side. The advantage of mining vertically is that Dream only needs to break or place one block in order to move. It's a quick way to get away. The disadvantage is that he can get the blocks mined out from under him, or if he's being mined down to from above, they could drop onto him, but Dream seems to know when and where to use each. Another small example of using the game mechanics to his advantage is when Dream towered up in the nether with leaves. This ended up not being much of a payoff, but what you may not have noticed was that when he breaks the leaves, they don't drop a block when broken, so the hunters would have no idea that he towered up. In this instance, Dream didn't end up doing anything with this specific mechanic, but it was still cool that he used it. And finally, a couple more small things were when Dream blocked off the water once he swam out from digging up. This made it so the hunters had to place a few extra blocks in order to get out, which bought Dream a couple seconds. Then there was the time in the nether when Dream was trying to escape through mining, and with Sapnap right behind him, Dream placed a couple more furnace blocks instead of netherrack, which aren't as quick to mine, slowing Sapnap down for just a split second longer. All in all, there was a lot to cover, and I know that there's probably a lot that I missed. Now Dream, if by some chance you are seeing this, I would absolutely love to interview you about the manhunts, as doing the research for this video left me with a bunch of questions about your tactics, what you were thinking, why or not you did stuff, and a bunch more. So please hit me up on Twitter, @PhilSuper. I'm just starting out, so I really don't have many followers or tweets, unless 2 million of you unsubscribed, unfollowed, old joke, okay. But as for everyone else, please leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video. It took so much work for me to make, from rewatching the manhunts, taking notes, organizing, figuring everything out. I ended up filming a half notebook just for this video, and it took about a month of work to make. Also, if there's anything that I missed, liked, or you just wanted to see me do in another video, let me know in the comments. Adios!